A very good evening and welcome once again to all of you present here in this session. On behalf of Edusoft, I, David Singh, am once again with you all. Today's focus is on artificial neural network. Well, as we see, the supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. On these three, we have already learned many things. We have already talked about it, so I'll not be spending much time on these. What I mean to say here, the purpose to show you here is artificial neural network can be used in all these three. Mostly, there is one situation where we mostly use it in reinforcement learning, but that does not mean that it cannot be used for supervised algorithms and unsupervised algorithms. It can, of course, be used. So first of all, let us understand why we call it artificial neural network. The reason being, the concept of design of artificial neural network is taken from the way human brain works. Human brain is actually composed of billions of neurons, which are responsible for storing the information, whatever we learn throughout our life, and that is retained by our brain by the help of neurons. So how does information travel? Information travels across the neurons as they are connected together, making a sort of network inside the brain. So one neuron is connected with another neuron and so on. So if you talk about human brain is able to recognize, human brain is able to perform all sorts of learning, supervised and unsupervised. Human brain is capable to recognize objects, and we all know what is the capability of human brain. Now, when we talk about artificial neural network, which is based on human brain, what applications can artificial neural network be used? It's all of them. You think of the industry, and that is there. So when we say, if we are going to recognize some face, if we are going to develop an algorithm which is to recognize certain face, identify people, identify objects in the images, detecting fraud, analysis of risks involved in financial institutions, any sorts of forecasts to be done regarding weather forecast or regarding economy or hunger index, or how a particular product will proceed further in the market, and how a particular stock will behave. So this all will be can be predicted by artificial neural network. Any sort of intelligent search involved on internet can be done by ANN. So finding the route or path across any sort of expert system, like in medical field, they put in the symptoms and it tries to diagnose and recommend the medicine, recommend the medication. So this all is possible by neural network. If you talk about an autonomous vehicle, neural network can learn from the visual feeds, and it can slowly learn how to drive and control the vehicle. And uh, various trends and patterns recognition across any data value. This all can be done by the help of neural network. So let us see how does it look like. Like, our brain stores all the information there, and if you go deep into the brain, it is a network of neurons. Neurons are, this is one neuron, what you see, neurons are the single unit where the information is held, and they're connected with other neurons by the help of axons or dendrites, through which information is passed across from one neuron to another. If we go deep into the connectors of two adjacent neurons, they are not physically connected. There is some sort of chemical reaction happens, and the information travels through that chemical reaction. Some sort of ionization, you can say. The chemical involved is acetylcholine, through which that information travels. Then now, on the basis of this particular structure of a neuron, biological neuron, the concept of artificial neural network has been derived exactly like that. In artificial neural network, there is a functional node. We will understand what it is in a short while. One node behaves like a neuron, and little input goes into it, and it processes that input as desired, and it generates some output. Looking further, if you are going to network and combine multiple, say millions or billions of neurons together, it creates an artificial neural network, and these neurons are connected in this fashion. The foremost layer, the outermost layer is called the input layer. Input layer is not that intelligent, it is just supposed to collect the input which has to be processed, which has to be used by the artificial neural network to learn, and this input goes to the hidden layer. Hidden layer neurons might be arranged in one single layer, and depending on the complexity, depending on the application, there might be more than one layers also. So it could be hidden layer 1, hidden layer 2, and so on. Across these layers, the input travels. One hidden layer neurons process the information, process the data. Whatever is the output is passed on to the next available layer, and this way, this output proceeds further, this processed output proceeds further until it reaches the output layer. In output layer, the whatever is the output is collected and it is compared with the desired result. And this is how this neural network works. This is called forward propagation. Forward propagation means from the data travels from input layer to output layer, it goes through one or more hidden layers, and in these hidden layers actually the processing of the data occurs, and whatever is the output in the form of prediction, in the form of some sort of clustering or classification, in the form of some sort of forecast, in the form of some sort of identification of an object or image, whatever is the output, that is given to the output layer. So this is how artificial neural network structure is designed, which is completely mapped with the human brain. Even behavior, we will see how it behaves. So actually how neural network behaves, that we will try to understand with a simple example. You can use this as an activity in your classroom also. This all material, as I told you earlier, also this all material is available to you for download. You can register on our Teachers Corner on eduitspl.com, the website. And once you log into the Teachers Corner, you will be able to download this all material and use it in the classroom. So this is one simple example I have taken, which you can use in the classroom for the concept. Here there are 26 images, as you can see, of alphabets. Now, how we have organized these images for the simplicity, for the sake of understanding the concept, and for the sake of your explanation of the concept in the classroom. Here we have taken only two colors, gray and white. Let's say gray color is intensity 165, white color is maximum intensity. We are not concerned with its value. Here what we are concerned with, that there are two colors, one is darker and one is lighter, and darker colors together form a structure of a particular alphabet, as you see here. And each of these so-called conceptual images, they are of 5 by 5 grid. There are, you can say conceptually, there are 25 pixels which are making this image. Out of these, darker pixels are actually making that alphabet. How an artificial neural network will be able to understand which particular alphabet it is and how it is trained into, we will see on the basis of this concept. So these are the alphabets, as you see here. Let us move further. Now, what you see here is a neural network with two hidden layers, one input layer and there is one output layer. And on the end of input layer, there is one input, the alphabet L. That input has to be given to the input layer. Now, when the input layer is taking this input, what it is doing is, it is separating each pixel and arranging them in a sequence. As you can see, there are, for simplicity, I have watered down this image to 12 pixels only. Earlier you have seen 25 pixels. So just for the convenience, I have taken only 12 pixels now. These 12 pixels are making letter L. The pixels involved exactly are 1, 4, 7, 10, 11 and 12. So input layer has arranged these pixels into a single line vector, as you see here. And then this single line vector is given to the hidden layer 1. Now here, each of the pixel is one neuron. There are 12 neurons in each of the layers. Hidden layer has 12 neurons. What this hidden layer is doing, in hidden layer, we are applying a logic. That logic is saying that if the input value is less than or equal to 165, 165 is the intensity of gray color. So here gray color intensity is 165. In simple terms, what we are checking is if the input pixel is of gray color, then translate it into the value 1. Otherwise, translate that value to 0. So whatever it has got from input layer, hidden layer is translating it into numbers. If you recall, in previous sessions also I told you that for a computer, everything is number. It has to be translated somehow into a numeric form. Here it is, the numbers, binary numbers are there, 1 for gray, 0 for white. So this is what hidden layer is doing. Now this sort of logic is called activation function. We will learn more about activation function as we move further in this session. Now what is second layer is doing? Second layer is actually comparing the desired output with the input. So a simple ANDing operation is being done. 1 and 1 will give you 1, 0 and 0 will give you 0, 0 and 1 could have given 0. So here mapping is done. As you see, this time artificial neural network is not identifying the image. This time artificial neural network is actually being trained. It is being shown all the images. For example, letter L is being shown to it, and now it is learning how letter L looks like. What pixels actually represent letter L. And right now this learning is happening only. This time artificial neural network is not being tested. It is not performing. It is learning like a child. So now at this output layer, this artificial neural network has retained the information that letter L looks like this. These are the pixels which represent letter L. Now the same process will be repeated several hundred times for each of the alphabet. And after several hundred repetitions, what will happen? This network will be trained into identifying English alphabet capital letters. So our network is trained positively to identify the alphabets. This is how the concept works. Now this network is being trained positively in identifying the alphabets. So this network is ready to identify the alphabet. One phase of the training is over. The second phase of the training of this model is the negative training. Negative training means identifying or classifying that this particular letter is not other letters. For example, this here, this is the negative training of the network. Here network is being trained that a particular alphabet is not alphabet L, it is alphabet T. So this way, for each alphabet, it will also be trained into negative aspect that this alphabet is not the other remaining alphabets. So that is 26 into 26 into several hundred times. So it is several thousand times, several thousand iterations. After that, this network will be fully trained in identifying letters by their pixels. So as you see, two inputs are going into input layer. The pixels are converted into a single line vector of gray and white cells, white pixels. They are translated by the hidden layer into a sequence of ones and zeros. By the simple ANDing operation, the outputs are generated, and these outputs are compared with the desired result. And which one is matching close? This one. Here, now the training is complete. Now artificial neural network is able to identify positively a particular alphabet, and it is able to tell this alphabet from others. So it can differentiate now and it can identify. So these both the things are done. Now it is completely trained. Now is the time to test it. In the same fashion, it will be tested. So I have taken the same example. Model testing is now happening on the same scenario. If you notice carefully, in testing, are you able to make out the input and the expected output? So as you see here, we are testing the model now. If you compare the input with the expected output, you can see in input pixel 12, if you focus on pixel 12, in the input pixel 12 is not representing the alphabet. So, and in expected output there is. So there is some probability issue here. This neural network is trying to interpret the pixels, and at this output layer, when the comparison is being done, now here the probability of the pixels is being calculated. The higher probability of the alphabet L is there, so network is able to identify that the shown alphabet is letter L and not letter T. So this way artificial neural network actually works on probabilities. Probabilities are calculated when it is trying to identify some image. If you are going to show it 10 images of yours, now those 10 images will be completely different, but they are of the same person. So in this scenario, the artificial neural network will work on the probability. It will calculate the probability of the presence of the pixels which are making the facial features of the person, and depending on that highest probability, it will figure which person it is or which object it is. So this is how the model is being tested. Now the big question here is, what if the model is failing? It is not able to identify even after training. If you train the model and then it is not giving you the desired results. Now in that case, what happens? We take the difference between the expected output and the output given by the network. That difference is called error, and that error is fed back into the neural network. Now this feedback mechanism will help the neural network how to correct itself, and then it will try to predict again. Now this process keeps going on: output, comparison, error detection, feeding the error back into the artificial neural network. It rectifies the error and tries this entire process of recognition again. Again it is giving an output, and again it is checked against the expected output. And this cycle, this reiteration keeps going on until the network is completely trained. This type of network is called back propagation network. So back propagation helps artificial neural network to learn from its mistakes. So what happens is, when we are training the network, when it is trying to process the inputs go into the input layer, the hidden layer. From the input layer, it goes to the hidden layer. In hidden layer, what happens? Certain weightage is given to the inputs. Those are called weights. Depending on the type of input, they are given some random weights. When the neural network is learning for the first time, the values of the weights are random numbers. You can say 0.1, 0.15, 0.25. Random numbers are given. This is exactly like what happens in the real life also. When we try to learn something, we are just going through it, whatever it is, and we try to figure out what I'm trying to learn. And when I focus on it, and when I collect all the facts, I gradually start understanding the concepts, and I proceed towards more learning. Similarly here, with the inputs, some weightages are given. Which input is more important, which input is lesser important. First, it is given randomly. Now, these inputs values and these weightages, they are multiplied together. Their product is taken, and whatever is output, that is called weighted input. So all the inputs are multiplied with all the weights, and a weighted input is generated. So here you see there are 3 inputs, and there are 3 weights, one for each input. So they are multiplied one with each other, and we have 9 weighted inputs we have now. Now these 9 weighted inputs, along with these, the entire sum of these inputs is taken. So it is like what happens in the classroom. You give the marks to the students. Now out of those marks, there is some weightage given to the marks. Depending on that weightage, their percentage is calculated. And then the average or sum of entire class is taken. That is the teacher's performance. Similarly, Here the sum of all the multiplication of weights and inputs is taken, and with that sum, another random number is added, that is called bias. Now bias is something like when you say in the classroom, okay class, I will give you 5 marks extra for the good handwriting. Or sometimes what happens, the impression of the student works on you when you are marking, especially in practicals. How his behavior has been throughout the year, was his attendance regular, what kind of a student he is. So all those things. Now these things are called bias or prejudice. We judge the people on some sort of prejudice. So taking from that real life concept, this bias has been introduced. So not only weights, after multiplying with weights, the weighted sum, single value, a bias is also added to it. Again, in the beginning, this is a random number because at that moment we do not know what to add. So just a random number is added. After adding the bias, what input layer gives out is a very different kind of output, which is completely different from the inputs given. So what is the advantage of these weights and bias here? Actually, these weights and bias help in learning for the network. Higher would be the weight, more influence of the input will be there. Biases just predict how far the expected output, because you are adding the bias. But weights you are multiplying. There is a difference between multiplication and adding. When you multiply, multiplication affects the value. If you are multiplying A with B, the change in B or the change in A will change the output exponentially. But if you are adding something, that adds the distance, how far a thing is deducted by addition. So both weights and bias are important. They help the artificial neural network in learning further. How this happens? Suppose artificial neural network has given some output, and that output is not matching with the expected input. What will happen? We will try to figure out some sort of error, some sort of difference is there. That feedback will be given to the network, and depending on that feedback, the network will try to adjust the weights and bias value. It will not change the input. Input will never be changed. What will be changed? The weights will be tweaked, and now bias will be tweaked. Now this will keep going on until the expected output and the output by the network both match very closely. So by changing the weights and by changing the bias, the learning of the artificial neural network happens. It is just like a child is learning and you are giving it the feedback. No, this was the error. This is what you are supposed to do, but actually did not happen. This is the problem. And depending on that feedback, that child performs once again. And accordingly, he tries to learn. So we will understand this concept once again with the help of a simple, small example here. If you see here, data of 79 values is taken. It is the attendance and the status whether the student is financially weak or not. In an institution of 79 students, we have taken the financially weak data and the attendance data. And here it is showing that how many students are financially weak and how many students had lower attendance. And depending on that, we are trying to predict whether the student would be a dropout or not. He would leave the course in between or not. So here what is happening, if you see financially weak students, 0 means no, 1 means yes. 1 means yes, the student is financially weak. Similarly, in terms of lower attendance, 0 means attendance is not lower, attendance is okay. 1 means attendance is low. Now if you see the figures, if you analyze this data, what it tells us is, if a student is financially weak, that is 1, financially weak 1, then no matter whatever is his attendance, there are many cases which have been dropped out. See, 39 cases. 39 cases have dropped out where student's attendance was also lower and the student was financially weak, 1. That comes to 39. So the students who are actually having higher attendance, if they are financially weak, still 31 students have been dropped out. So most of the students are dropped out if they are financially weak. If a student, irrespective of attendance, if a student is financially weak, probably he is going to drop out. That is the revelation from the existing data. So here financially weak parameter is more important than the attendance. So this is the scenario. Let us see how do we depict it in artificial neural network form. Neural network of single hidden layer is there. Financially weak data 1 and 0. Low attendance 1 and 0 is fed into the hidden layer. And here we are given the weightage. A random weightage is given 0.3, 0.25, 0.15 and 0.2 to all these four values. Now they will be multiplied together, some sort of bias will be added, and eventually this network will predict something. Now what will be, whatever is the prediction, that will be compared with the expected output. And then we will see whether network is able to predict that the given candidate is likely to drop out or not. So this is the architecture, this is the concept. If network is not able to predict correctly, what it will do, it will try to adjust the weights, and by adjusting the weights, we will try to help network train itself in a better way. This is called back propagation, as I told you earlier. As you see here in the screen, the same thing is depicted here. Financially weak students, weights, some weights are given. Now these weights are multiplied here. As you see, these weights are multiplied. And what this network is predicting, dropout, it is predicting 0.7, 0.5, 0.4, 0.3. But prediction should be 1 or 0. So 0.4 and 0.3 is fine. This can be considered at 0. But here, you see, the expected output should be 1, 1 and 0, 0. If the student is financially weak and if the student is having low attendance, he should be a dropout. See, if the student is financially weak and if the student is having low attendance, both the cases are at negative side. See, cell B4 and B6. So a student is surely going to be a dropout. So in cell F4, it is predicting 1 for such a scenario. That is quite okay, perfectly fine. But prediction is, what prediction is happening? Prediction is happening 0.7. It is not happening 1 exactly. So there is some sort of difference between expected 1 and 0.7. So this error should not be there. If you see here, for prediction 0, 0, error is in negative. That means network is predicting fine. But here error is 0.3 and 0.4. This has to be removed. So what we will do, we will try to make changes in the weights, and after adjusting the weights and adjusting the bias is 0.3. Here it is taken. If you see, in cell F9, this bias is also added here. The multiplication of weights as well as bias is also added. So this prediction has to be 1, 1. It should match exactly with the expected output. So after changing the weights and after changing the bias, eventually we reach this scenario. See, now the weights are adjusted. Financially weak, yes, input is 0.62, weights are completely changed. You see here, it was 0.25. Now the weight is 0.62. Earlier, financially weak 0. No, that is 0.3. Here, it is 0.25, slightly decreased. So after changing the weights, if you see, the dropout prediction is 1.1, which is very close to expected. The other one is very close. And see the error is 0 now. So here the network is trained after adjusting the weights. So this is how conceptually this happens, but this does not happen exactly like this. A lot of arithmetic is involved. A lot of differential calculus algorithms are involved in reaching this conclusion. In Excel, I have just shown you how the weights are multiplied, how the error is calculated in a very conceptual form. But in real life, a lot of complicated differential calculus is involved. As the children will move on to class 11th and 12th, this calculations and Python programming will involve all this practically. Well, what we just see here was the conceptual depiction of artificial neural network. Now, I use a term called activation function. What happens in hidden layer every neuron, there is an activation function which actually helps in giving the desired output of the neural network. Let me take an example, like some input has been given to the neuron, to the hidden layer, and that input is multiplied with the weight. Now that is a simple linear multiplication, and network is not going to learn anything from it. It will simply give an output. All the neurons will give the simple multiplication output to the next layer, and that's it. Learning actually happens when some sort of, as I told you, weights and biases are adjusted, learning happens, and a different kind of output has to be generated after multiplication. That is done by the help of activation function. Activation function modifies the output so that some sort of conclusion can be drawn. These activation functions are actually based on various algorithms which actually help in predictions or classification or regression or various other predictions and forecasting. So when you say what is the actual algorithm which works in a neural network, that is the crux of it is the activation function. So now we know that whatever input is given to the neural network, it is in every layer, it is multiplied with some weight and a bias is added to it. Now along with this, what happens, with this output, an activation function is applied. For example, and this activation function is actually trying to modify the output into a very simple value. For example, zero, a value between the range of -1 to +1. So the big question is, why do we need activation functions? What happens is when you give the inputs to the neural network, in real life, there could be thousands or hundreds of input going into the neural network, and thousands and hundreds of calculations are going on inside it. So you can think what will be the huge values which will be taken out as output. Now, those huge values could be very, very difficult to handle and process. What activation function does is it limits those values into a range, into a very small range. So input can be very huge. Activation function turns that value into a very small decimal value, say 0.1, 0.2, -1, +1. So these values are very small. And in a very complex neural network, these small values can be used for further predictions, classification, and clustering. So that is the basic purpose of activation function. It scales down all the calculations to a very small minimal value. So whatever hidden layer gives as output, activation function acts upon it. For example, here there is a simple activation function which is saying that if the output of the hidden layer is going beyond some limit, it will turn the output into 1. Otherwise, it will turn the output into 0. So whatever is the output given by the layer, it will either be 1 or 0. So this kind of activation function is very good when you are trying to classify the input into any of the two categories, yes or no, true or false, male, female, drop out or not drop out. The customer will buy the product or will not buy the product. So if you have to classify into this or that, into any two possible buckets, then this kind of activation function can be applied on the output. And as I told you, activation function is nothing but the backbone of the algorithm which is working in the neural network. So I have taken a very plain and simple example here. It is converting entire multiplication into 1 or 0. So this is how activation function actually helps the neural network in understanding complex data. For example, image. An image has thousands of pixels. Think of a self-driven car. It is actually processing videos, several hundred still images, several thousand pixels are involved. Now, if neural network has to handle all those pixels, it may hang. it may not perform well. But an activation function, what it will do, it will convert all those complicated values into a small range of -1 to +1, for example. So this way, the entire functionality of the neural network actually works on the basis of activation function. And it keeps the output in a limited range, which is useful. And all the activation functions are implemented in the form of a mathematical equation. And the logic of those equations comes out of the concepts of differential calculus. So the children have to be taught about the basics of differential calculus also as they move into the higher classes. So in real life, there are several kinds of activation functions. A very simple function is a linear activation function, which can be used for simple predictions, yes and no. For example, it just multiplies the weights with the inputs and adds some bias to it. So it's plain and simple. Then there is another activation function which is called binary step, where it converts the output into either 1 or 0. It is very good if you are going to classify into yes or no kind of things. Another activation function which is commonly used is sigmoid. This is called sigmoid activation function. It also returns a value between 0 and 1. And it performs on the logic which is given here, 1 upon 1 plus exponential of the input. Here x is the input value. So whatever value is input, its negative is done. Exponential of that negative is calculated. It is added with 1 and it is used to divide 1 then. So the equation is 1 upon 1 plus exponential of negative of the input. This E is also called Euler's number and it's a constant of 2.71828. So if you do not want to do calculation using this equation, what you can do, you can go to this URL kaizen.casio.com, and using this URL you can just put the input value of x and it will give you the sigmoid function. Sigmoid value it will give you, so you don't need to have to do those complex calculations. I'm just sharing you the advanced information here. Another sort of activation function is rectified linear unit, ReLU it is called. It also converts all the negative inputs into 0 and all the positive inputs it does not change. All the positive inputs are kept as they are and all the negative values are converted into 0. So rectified linear unit, this is very much used in image identification, object identification and all those things. Then there is another function called tan-h, which returns the values in the range of -1 and 1. And several other algorithms are there. Leaky ReLU is there, parametric ReLU is there, Swish has been developed by one Indian, which is popularly used nowadays. Another logic is softmax. So all these logics, all these algorithms are built into neural network in the form of activation functions. So when you go in future practically implementing these things, you have to select which activation function would be useful. In a complex neural network, there are more than one activation functions are also involved, and by training and testing with a lot of iterations, it is decided, okay, this activation function is perfect and this activation function should be used in the neural network. Well, so as I was talking about, then on those outputs an activation function is applied, which is the basic algorithm which works in the neural network, and that output is used for checking whether the predictions are correct or not. So this is the simple core logic behind artificial neural network, which you are going to explain not in this fashion to the students. That is for your understanding. You can use my PPTs and Excel sheet. You can modify them according to your requirement and use them in the classroom. And you can think of some other examples around it. I gave you one example of dropout. You can think of another example where yes, no values are involved, and those you can use. You can always modify whatever we will share with you.